In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, peace be upon you. Apologies, I speak slowly. To speed up this video, click on Settings and select a suitable speed. What would I do if my children became non-Muslim? Now, I was watching a video where Dr. Zakir Naik was asked this question, and I found his response quite interesting. I thought I would share my own response. When I read the story of the Prophet Noah in the Quran many years ago, I was struck by something, and it was how God even tested his prophets with disbelieving sons or disbelieving wives or disbelieving parents. And what I realized was that you couldn't be arrogant because you were a prophet or a holy person or a good person. You had to remain humble. And I believe that the people who fail this test that is given by God are the arrogant, judgmental people. So, as I said on my earlier slide, that God tests believers, and sometimes He tests us with disbelieving children or parents, and those who fail are arrogant and judgmental. Now, the reason why I came to this conclusion was from the story of the Prophet Noah, which is in chapter 11, and it starts, the extract that I'm going to read starts from verse 42. So it's talking about the ark, and it sailed with them on the waves like mountains. And Noah called out to his son who was apart from them, O my son, embark with us, and do not be with the disbelievers. He, the son, said, I will betake myself to some mountain that will save me from the water. He, Noah, said, there is no protector today from Allah's command except on whom He has mercy. And the waves came between them, so he was among the drowned. And it was said, O earth, swallow your water, and O sky, withhold. And the water subsided, and the command was fulfilled, and it, the ship, rested on Mount Judai. Now, so it's interesting to note that he was refusing to come on board the ark even while the waves were huge. And it says that they were like mountains. Now, perhaps he had managed to get on some plank of wood or something to stay afloat. So it's interesting that, I watched the film about Noah and how people were grappling to get on board the boat when the water started rising. But the Quran says something different, that even while the waves were huge, people were refusing to get on board the boat, And this is the stubbornness of disbelief and the blindness and the deafness that Allah talks about in the Quran. They're unable to understand, they're unable to see, they're unable to hear, because the sign was all around them that the waves are huge, the water's rising, they will not survive. But their blindness, their spiritual blindness, prevented them from realizing and understanding this. So, yeah, and then they were separated and he was drowned. So, from the perspective of the Quran, in verse 43, the son is now drowned. If we go on to verse 45, and Noah called to his Lord and said, O my Lord, indeed my son is of my family, and indeed your promise is true, and you are the most just of judges. He said, O Noah, indeed he is not of your family, indeed his deed is not righteous, so do not ask me about what you have no knowledge. Indeed, I admonish you lest you be among the ignorant. So, some people might say that perhaps Noah's still talking about his son surviving the flood, but I doubt that. I personally think it's about God saving his Noah's son in heaven, really. And he basically asked for his son saving. If he was a prophet, he wants him saved in both ways. Perhaps the flood somehow. Noah doesn't know. All he knew was the wave came between them. He's probably hoping that he survived it. And he also wants his son saved to go to heaven. But Allah, whereas normally God the Almighty doesn't disclose people's sins to others until the person continues sinning and not repenting, then eventually Allah will, reveal their crimes and the person will be caught and prosecuted. So here Allah tells Noah that he basically doesn't know what he's asking for, and he can't ask for him to be saved. He didn't believe, and let's say if he was an evil, unrighteous person, he would have continued to commit crimes on the earth, which Allah had made the decision to wipe away, so that there's a fresh start. And if he wants him saved to go to heaven, then you're not allowed to be an unrepentant criminal in heaven. The whole thing about repentance is that your crimes then God hides, because in heaven it's my belief that we will be beings of light, and we know telepathically what each other has done in our lives. Unless we've repented, then that hides the crime. So the verse continues. Noah said, O my Lord, indeed I seek refuge in you from asking that of which I have no knowledge, and unless you forgive me and have mercy on me, I will be among the losers. It was said, O Noah, go down, disembark with peace from us and blessings on you and on the nations from those with you. But to other nations we will grant enjoyment, then will touch them from us a painful punishment. So that's a warning as well to nations who may enjoy their existence, but who commit evil acts like killing people in other countries when they don't have weapons of mass destruction, or they haven't used weapons of mass destruction. Right, so I do think that Prophet Noah is an example of a perfect Muslim, a perfect submitter who is obedient to Allah, and he loves his son. No doubt deep down he knew that his son was a disbeliever. Perhaps he might even have known some of the criminal acts he was committing. I'm not sure. I don't think he knew about the criminal acts, but you know, sometimes you do get the hint from people around you, even though they might not say it openly, that they don't have belief. And when he asked Allah to save his son, Allah told him clearly that your son has been unrighteous, and so don't ask for him to be saved. He needs to suffer the same consequences of the other people that commit the crimes. So, God willing, I wouldn't disown my children for disbelief. I would merely pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them back to the straight path. I think believing in the unity of Allah is the most important thing, really. So if you believe in the unity of God, then that, to me personally, that's the fundamental part of belief, as long as you don't take part in idol worship. I would be really worried if they were buying statues and worshipping statues, because to me that goes against basic common sense, basic intelligence, that something that you have created is now worthy of worship. I also wanted to share this verse about how to treat parents. Even disbelieving parents is considered. So I'll just read the verses. And we have enjoined on man in respect of his parents, his mother carried him in weakness upon weakness, and his weaning is in 2 years, saying, Be grateful to me and to your parents. Towards me is the final destination. So Allah instructs us to be grateful and kind to parents. And it goes on, the verse goes on. But if they strive against you, that you associate partners with me of what you have no knowledge, then do not obey them, but accompany them with kindness in this world, and follow the path of him who turns to me in repentance. Then towards me is your return, and I will inform you of what you used to do. So here Allah talks about how if your parents want you to worship something else other than me, i.e. take part in idol worship. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't quoted the verse, but idol worship, worshipping partners with God, that is the biggest crime stated in the Quran, that Allah will forgive every crime except giving God partners, because and the way I see it is that Allah has given us everything, and He loves us the way we might love another partner in our life, whether it's a wife or a husband. He loves us even deeper than that, and that is complete betrayal of his love and generosity and all the gifts that he showers upon us. And so even though that is such a criminal offence that Allah considers absolutely unforgivable, and the royal family and the leadership of all countries, including Bush, Blair, irrespective of what they say, irrespective of them saying that they worship God, the Christian God or whatever, they are liars. They are actually idol worshippers. They are Hindus, and this is why their criminal activities are to an obscene level, because it comes with idol worship, and major criminal activities come hand in hand. So I pray Allah guides you, protects you, and gives you peace. I pray that Allah guides the Satanists, anti-Christians, and the devil to the straight path. I pray that the ultimate success be that all creation unite for truth and justice. I pray that Allah grants us all guidance, grants us all forgiveness. I pray that the children be a source of peace for the parents, and the parents a source of peace for the children. I pray that Allah makes me be a source of peace for all, and may I achieve martyrdom defending the vulnerable. Allahu Akbar and Allah Hafiz.